evening, Ginger Snaps. So, as you can see, I'm still working on this. This is head gaskets part 3. This deck is clean-ish. I still got some scrubbing to do. All the holes are tapped on that side. This side, the holes have been tapped. Now, if you remember seeing it done on a stand, it's a little bit easier because you can access everything. So I'm using just a light Brillo pad on my handy-dandy Milwaukee drill. Someone did head gaskets once before and when they did it, they didn't take the old gasket off. So there's double layers in multiple places of old gasket versus new. There are chunks of the original gasket still on here underneath this. So I get all this knocked off and there's just layers.
Oh wait, there's more.
Exactly, little mountains of it. So that being said, I got a lot of cleaning to do. That deck took over 2 hours to do, and it's semi-clean.
That's using our little friend here.
Yes.
Scotch-Brite scour pads, even the industrial strength.
So even when I tapped the holes, they were pretty gunk-filled, and they took and it pulled a lot out with a clearing tap. So that said, when it's in the truck, it's real hard to do this because you're now sitting on top of the engine, as I am, in the engine bay. I'm just trying to get these clean enough that you can successfully seal your new head gaskets, because nobody wants to do this a third time, or a fourth time, or however many times it's going to take to get them to seal because someone else decided to not do the world's greatest job 30 years ago. So that being said, I'm going to keep cleaning this deck. I'm going to work on getting it cleaned enough that maybe I can show you guys and explain the process of what I'll be doing to lay the new gaskets on and then set the heads on and work forward from there. So we're actually going to paint the new heads hopefully this evening at some point with a brush because it's 6 degrees outside and snowing like a madman. So the likelihood of us getting really anything accomplished out there today is slim to none. So we'll show some of the new parts in the basement of the house this evening. I'll walk you through what all we have, and hopefully, you hear that, God? It's me. We can get a head back on tomorrow night. I have no idea which one it's going to be, but we're going to give it a try. So I'll keep cleaning, get through this, and then we'll show you some new parts later. All right, new cylinder head number 1 with pretty black grill paint, high temp for 1,000 degrees. Cylinder head number 2. Valve covers 1 and 2. Manifold numero 1. And the water pump. We'll let this dry overnight, and hopefully by morning it's ready for reinstall. Ginger Snaps, guess what? I had a cylinder head.
It's time.
And I have a gasket over here. Hello, gasket. So, you want to clean that deck off a little bit more before you really get going. Make sure there's no debris on it, because debris is she's just a bitch. And realistically, you want nothing too nasty on there. I've already scrubbed the decks on this thing pretty profusely, so I'm not going to really get too crazy with it. This, on the other hand, the head needs to be cleaned. Make sure you got a nice clean surface for everything to go onto. There's debris inside the head castings. These are Promax. It's brand freaking new. So that being said, shouldn't have too much goop inside. Here's our fancy dancy painted high temp manifolds.
I gotta say, grill paint.
It worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
But okay. So step 1. Look at your gasket.
Are you supposed to be checking for any imperfections or anything like that? Is there anything you're concerned of?
So, not necessarily imperfections, but what you want to do is figure out where your dowel pins are. So you want your gasket to lay on flatola, and you want it to sit down like that over your dowel pins. There's your new head gasket laying in place.
Wow.
So I'm now going to crawl in the engine bay and check to make sure there's no debris on here. And Jordan's going to stand back and she's going to watch me set this head into place and make sure I don't hurt myself. If I can't successfully do this on my own, we'll have to wait till tomorrow and get my brother to do this as 2 people. So I'm gonna work on getting the head on, and then I'll turn the camera back on. Alright, so I ate my Wheaties and some spinach, and I'll put it in. You gotta swing it forward, swing it back, and drop it down. It is by far the worst part of the job. It's also probably close to the heaviest thing you're gonna do swapping heads, is actually physically removing them. So now I need to make the determination, can I take this bolt out without hurting anybody? So I'm putting torque to yield bolts back in this for a small multitude of reasons. Reason number 1 is that I want to use them as a weak link. So a lot of you guys know that I sled pull and drag race and do all the fun stuff. I have tried many things over the years, and this is one that I've wanted to try, but I never quite got around to it. So I'm going to go ahead and make the attempt to run torque to yield bolts at 120 foot-pounds. I know some of you that are going to watch this video are going to say, he's nuts! Thank you, I am. So, that said, I'm going to start cranking these in. We're going to get them all into place, and then what I'll have Jordan do is turn flash on when I have all 17 in, and I'll show you guys how to torque the back ones since they are in such a tight spot, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to get to cranking bolts, and we'll be back. I'm hot, sweating, mildly accomplished. So there it is. 17. We're 117 foot-pounds, or 115. So all 17 are torqued. One more round. I'm going to 120, but as you saw, you probably can't see because I don't have a flashlight. Okay, so you can see the torque wrench on 17 here. It's tight with the firewall, real tight. I mean, it works. As you can see, it goes. There you go. 115 foot-pounds. We're going to 120. But yeah, our passenger side head will be installed momentarily. Done.
How do you feel?
Woo!
That's like Ric Flair level.
Woo!
Okay, cool.
Yeah!
Done.
120 foot-pounds. Done?
Oh, not done. We got stuff to still do.
You think this is a 4-cylinder? I still got a whole nother head to do tomorrow.
Babe, we got a Jeep outside. Shh, it'll hear you.
I don't care what the Jeep is. Okay, so passenger head's on. You saw how much fun that was. So I'm going to post this as head gaskets part 3. Once I get the rockers on, push rods, and doctor up this side. Part 4, I'll do the other head, because I don't want these videos to be 4 days long. And let's face it, a 5-minute video is good. Well, you can watch it to John on lunch at work, or if you're taking an old Oval Office break. Anyways, that being said, we'll get rockers, we'll get push rods. I'll get them in after I blow them off and brake clean. We'll show you guys how to do that while it's in the truck. And that'll conclude head gaskets part 3.
So what you got for us, Court?
A smoothie.
Oh, man.
Now, remember
This
the box? Remember the box of rockers that I had the other day?
Not a box of rocks.
Sitting in the garage the other day. Anyways, here's the box of rockers and push rods. So I'm going to slide these little guys out. I'm going to give them a wipe. Oh, yeah, little buddy. And then I'm going to come over here.
Oh, working up.
And Jordan is going to watch feverishly as I feed him down in his hole to his little lifter buddy.
You're blessed with long arms.
And here's the next. So, again, this goes back to what I was taught my entire life working on engines, is you take them out the same way you put them in the same way they came out. So I have them pushed into the box inside the engine. So that way I know directionally which way these guys are going to go. So this one here can go back in his home. Alright, the middle two, I'm going to say are probably the hardest.
Why?
because they go through these little holes in the block. Actually, I'm a goober. I'm one hole off. See, this is why I watch while I go. Alright, so I'm still slowly cruising across here. As you can see, I don't have injectors in this head. I left them out so I had more room to work, but I do have the glow plugs, manifold, and all the heavy devices that make them hard to install on. Mostly because you can't put a lot of that stuff on once it's in the chassis. So that's why I did it this way.
Chassis.
Look, it's not a chassis unless you're Jason Fabian. And I, for one, learned to just not argue with him about it. Anyways.
So do you think it was a lot easier throwing it all together, like a one piece, then throw it all in? Or?
Yeah, I will tell you guys that it was a whole lot easier to build the head in my basement where it was warm, where I was warm, because gingers don't hold heat. We don't have sole, so it doesn't trap heat. Anyways, I built the whole thing down there basically. So everything you see here except for putting the top end parts on and getting ready for a valve cover, we're done in my basement. It goes pretty well. So remember what I said when I put my box of rockers together. I had this rear one here all by his lonesomes. See, he's a little dirty still, but he ain't bad. This was after doing...
Well lubed.
It is well lubed. You know what? That's a great way to say it. Okay, so rear rocker. Notice that I'm kind of playing with this thing as I'm doing it. It's mostly because I'm making sure the retainers aren't busted. Because
if they were busted, what do you do?
Step 1, crack beer. Step 2, cry to your mother. Step 3, just get another set of rockers. Yeah, just check your buttons. Make sure they're not damaged. I'm over here doing this by hand because I want to make sure that everything lines up where it's supposed to go. And then I'll get the torque wrench out. These are supposed to be torqued to 40 foot-pounds. And that's all you need. So I'll get these threaded on. I'll get everything put in place. We'll take a quick torque video and wrap up head gaskets part 3. One.
Are you starting out at 40?
2. Yep. I've never found if you actually are supposed to torque these in steps.
Like what you did with the bolts?
Yeah, with the heads or not. So I always just get them close to 40. 1. And then I just go over them a couple of times.
Like I said, that one's secure.
They are secured. All right, there we go. So
Yay!
One of our heads is on. As you can see, we have rockers and push rods and torque yield head bolts of 120 foot-pounds, glow plugs, turbo manifold,
heat protection.
Heat protection. Yep. I went ahead and put my pyrometer probe back in already, and I put my drive pressure probe back in. So that's all I'm going to do for tonight. We'll wrap this up, call it head gaskets part 3. Next time you'll see this thing, I'll be doing the head on the other side, putting injector lines back on. I'll have the valve covers back on it and just do a quick iteration of valve cover sealing. And we'll jump into head gaskets part 4. So keeping at it, guys. Thanks.